Come on. And it's I don't know how to. Milk, popcorn, soup, water.
Trying to get to where I can see you. It's still not doing it.
Oh, you can't see me?
Well, all I did was last time was click on the grid view thing, and it showed me.
I'm on a tablet this time. I wonder if it's me. Share screen? No.
No.
Okay.
If I click on like take off the grid, then I just see you, but I don't see me. So I want to see both of us on the grid. So I say show in a tile, and it's still, then it just shows me and not you. So it's not really doing what I want it to do.
Yeah, I can see you big or me big, and then the other one is up in the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll change when we get 3 people. I want to see what happens. I still am not seeing. There's Ellie. Hi, Ellie, but
Hi.
a grid. Come on, give me grid. There we go. I clicked it off, and then all of a sudden I could see all 3 of us. I wonder if it meant that we had to have more than 2 people here. I don't know. We're going to wait a few more minutes to see if we have any more takers.
Sounds good.
And we're on week 7 this week.
Okay. Yeah, I obviously missed last week, but
That's okay.
not quite get it together with
What?
the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I understand.
Ginger made it like right up to the end last time, and then that was it.
Yep.
She's napping again, but I've got my sister-in-law here to help. So
Oh, nice. I know she's probably going to wake up any minute and no one else here, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. It's just this class is jinxed, I tell you. Pretty soon I'm the one that's going to be like, okay, sorry, it's my nap time. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Gotta go.
It's 3:30. Sorry, 4:30.
Sounds good. Is this the last one, or will there still be another one?
12 weeks.
Oh, cool. Oh, cool.
We're not going to meet next week because it's Thanksgiving, of course. And then we meet up the Thursday, the 1st of December. I guess it's like whatever, the 1st or 2nd, whatever that day is.
Cool.
And we'll just keep meeting through January, and then we'll until the 12 weeks are up, and then we'll kind of see where things are going to go from that point. I think we're trying to offer another cycle of another 12-week course for people who didn't get in the first round, but I don't know if maybe some of us will continue with like a group of students who kind of want to continue on, and then maybe some of us will take like a beginning class. So we kind of have to talk ourselves with Zach, and then also all of us to see kind of what the plan is, depending on what was the participation and how many people did we have in our class that were regulars. And
Yeah, we started with what, like 12, I think, that first day?
yeah, and then we added a whole bunch, like I had like 20 some people.
Oh, wow.
So then, but then like I didn't hear back from any of those people.
Yeah.
Like some of the, and I emailed all of them, and I, included them in the emails, and I said, if you want to, if you don't think you're going to come, let me know, or I also said, this will be offered again. So if you want to try again to, come at the very beginning, like the first week, try again. So not only did we not gain more people, but we lost some of the original people. Yeah. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things.
Rebecca, I was wondering, how did you get into being an ASL interpreter or learning ASL?
I actually, it's a kind of it's a very unique story. There were 2 girls at a college where I attended. It was a 2-year college that maybe you probably heard of, BYU in Provo. Utah. Okay, this was a 2-year, it's a LDS college. And this was a 2-year college called Ricks College. It's now BYU Idaho, which is in Rexburg. And there were 2 girls in my deaf dorm. One was, they were both, well, no, they weren't both. One of them was born deaf, and she had deaf parents and a deaf sister, completely signed, didn't really read lips, didn't really have good English writing skills. And so she was really like they called vanilla deaf. And then the other one was on the other spectrum. She was born to hearing parents, had a hearing sister, went deaf when she was 3, didn't sign until she was in high school, almost flunked out of high school, did sign language in secret. Her parents wanted her to be cured of her deafness. And she learned ASL and then got an interpreter and then got A's, and then she was fine from that point on. She has hearing aids, she speaks, she reads lips, she can even talk on the phone with hearing aids. So those 2 girls taught a sign language class to our dorm. My roommate was an interpreter, her mom was an interpreter, so I went from like 0 exposure to deaf people to like complete like immersion and exposure to deaf culture and different variations of deafness and different, you know, signing styles and just, you know, how they interact and the whole world of interpreting and what that means. And then I used to think it was a volunteer thing and not a paid profession, and then that's how I learned it was a paid profession. And even in the church, you know, when you interpret like in a church setting, it's kind of volunteer, but you can also get paid depending on the situation. So when I do it for church, I do it as a volunteer, but when I do it as a profession, I get paid. And so because I was doing everything at the school that I was doing was a church meeting or a fireside or different things, I thought it was all volunteer. And I'm like, what? You get paid for this? And this is a
right.
what?
Yeah.
So I fell in love with it. I was actually going to school for art and it had nothing to do with, you know, and I started picking it up. I just started talking to them and I was talking to them all the time. They were always up in our room because my roommate was she wasn't really an interpreter, except that she learned through her mom and she started trying to interpret for. She was roommates with her the previous year before I came into the dorm.
Okay. Wow, that's interesting.
That's the shortest version. And then I also served a mission for the church too, like a deaf program mission where I went out and worked with deaf people for 1.5 years. And that became fluent in my receptive skills because I could say anything I wanted to like this. But I was even, you know, interpreting in, you know, the missionary training center as a missionary serving for the deaf program. But watching it and understanding what they were saying, I went out and I was meeting people from different all over and they would be signing and I'd be like, I was not getting anything that they were signing. I was pretty sure it was like home signs for about 6 months. And then I was like, you know, all of a sudden I just started comprehending and I'm like, wow, this is really cool. I can actually follow the conversation. Yeah, it's just like any language. But and then I came back and I got into the education program, got as an interpreter in elementary school, middle school, and then went from there. And I've been doing that ever since. And that was 20 plus years ago.
Oh,
so
cool. Wow.
Yeah, I've been doing it for a long time.
A little bit of experience.
But yeah, and I've done everything from working for a freelance company, doing my own business and doing education and interpreting. So I've kind of had a taste of just about everything interpreting. But my strongest experience is in deaf education and being an educational interpreter. So, but yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome. So let's get this going. Obviously, we're not going to get anybody else. It's just us. So let's warm up. I've literally been cold. My hands today have been cold ever since I went up and
Just
came
been
back.
slippy all day.
It's not even as cold out. Like it got warmer. I don't
Yeah,
I had to make myself tea just to try to warm up my hands and my nose. But anyway, let's just do the itsy bitsy spider. Get warmed up. Might as well. Okay. Make sure you stretch those fingers all the way out, Jessica. There you go. Okay. Itsy bitsy spider. The water spout. Down came the rain. Make sure you stretch those arms out in front of you. Stretch out your shoulders too as you stretch out your fingers. Wash the spider out. Turn the wrist slowly. Out came the sun. Stand all the way up and over. Dried up all the rain. And itsy bitsy spider climbed up the spout again. Woohoo!
Yay! I need a massage.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
back would appreciate that.
Tell how bad your shoulders are when you start stretching them out. Huh? Okay. Let's go through the numbers. Review those as part of our warm-up. So we'll just go through, and if you guys want me to stop and go back or slow down, just let me know.
Okay.
Make sure that I'm closer up to the camera so you guys can see too. Six, seven. Oops, you're frozen. Sorry, I couldn't tell if you were pausing. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25 or 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. And then you just pretty much count up from there. You guys remember what 100 is? 100. You have one C. Think about
I thought there was a C, but I couldn't. Okay,
Roman numerals, right?
Yeah.
100. Did we go to 1,000? Do you remember me showing you that?
I remember you showed it.
1,000 into your hand. 1,000. It'd be 2,000, 3,000. So the year would be 2020.
Okay, yeah.
2020.
Either say 2020.
Or 2020.
No more 2020.
Or
We're done.
I'm done.
We're almost there. It is the Thursday eve of 2020. Yeah. Okay. Any more questions? Any more practice with the numbers? You feel pretty good with them? Pretty sure the rest of the numbers are just, even all the way up through. We have the hundreds, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000. I mean, million and, all of those are just kind of like, you keep going with the 1,000.
Yeah. 9,000.
9,999.
Yes.
Yep.
So wait, this is if it's 100,000. So the number that it has listed. So it's 1,000 to
1,000 to 999,000. So basically almost to a million. So 1,222.
okay.
999,000.
99. That's what I was going for. Is what I was saying. That's a lot. That's a lot of numbers.
Anyway, wow. Okay. So we talked about.
I'm sorry, did you say we were on 7 or 8?
We are on 7.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Is that the one you have up?
Yeah, I just pulled that one up, but
I think in the past we talked about getting someone's attention. Obviously, if you're talking to a deaf person, you cannot proper ways to get their attention. You cannot yell in their face. That's rude, and they'll be like, "What? You're in my space, and why the heck are you yelling?" So, and obviously, if they're in another, if they're across from you, and they're maybe at a table, a couple of ways you can bang on the table, bang on the desk, whatever. They'll feel the vibrations, so they do that often. Also do this. This means hey, trying to get someone's attention, right? It's within their visual space. So even they can see this, they see movement, their peripherals really, sharp. Mm-hmm. So if somebody's throwing their hands around, that's like like hearing somebody else's conversation, you know, like what we do. And but they can be super, you know, focused on the conversation and tune it out visually too. It's not like they're so, you know, attuned to it that they can't focus, but you can, you know, get your attention. And sometimes it takes a while to get their attention, for them to stop, you know, their sentence or whatever they're saying, to pay attention to you, especially kids when they're trying to get parents' attention. Worst ever.
My mom would
like ignore
to get my sister.
They yank on the parents' clothes, you know. Although I've seen them do this a lot, you know. Also, you can tap, you know, you can on politely, because it's, you know, on their shoulder. That's a proper place on their body to tap them to get their attention. But usually you kind of just have to be patient and wait, and, you know, unless it's an emergency and you really have to like interrupt or something else. There was a lot of, I read through it today. I wanted to see there was a lot of like comments and stuff at the bottom. I scrolled down when he's talking about turn taking and some deaf culture. And so there were some interesting scenarios that he was talking about. So if you're interested in reading those, just to understand a little bit more about deaf culture and how hearing culture and deaf culture interact with each other. Had some interesting scenarios there that you can read. We've talked in the past about dominant hand versus bass hand. So your dominant hand is the one that's doing most of the action of the signing. And so there's a and the bass hand is usually he said it's a couple of different hand shapes. So we talked about the different parts of a sign, you know, hand shape is one of them. So the most common ones I said for basses are like A, B, C. I think this is supposed to be O, and then S, and 1 and 5. Not 0, but 0 and O are basically the same hand shape. Yeah. So just like they're kind of the same number, they're just shaped differently. So like, and B, this flat hand, I guess they're kind of, it's not really a B. It's not the only list. That's not the extensive list. That's just the most commonly used ones. But when two hands are being used to act together to create a sign. With is it's where one hand is doing one thing and another hand is doing another. For example, this and this means help.
Yeah.
Dominant hand, this is the bass hand.
Am I signing it backwards?
Are you left-handed or right-handed?
I'm right-handed.
Okay.
But I was
no, well, I'm opposite.
Yeah.
This is my right hand. This is my left hand. So it's probably what you're
being a massage therapist too, is when I look and I'm seeing like the right is on this side and the left is on this side. Yeah.
Yep. It's opposite.
This is my right hand, like this.
Yeah. You have two hands that are doing the same thing. It's not really a bass hand, dominant hand type of a sign, because they're doing simultaneous movements, the same hand shape doing the same movement. It's kind of like mirrored.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those book, where they're both doing the same thing. Doesn't quite fall into that category of dominant hand versus bass hand.
Okay.
I'm going to check and see. I went through this to see if he was going to give some examples of signs. He's talking about it. He's talking about where are you left-handed or right-handed? Okay. Let's move this over.
I recommend you choose a dominant hand and stick with it.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
The sign didn't use one hand. Okay, so he does have some examples. Sign. He said it's interesting to note that there's almost all signs, if both hands are moving, are not in contact with each other, then both hands use the same shape. So for example, sign, happy, wonderful, friendly, Sunday. Those are all, two-handed signs, but they're doing the same movement. That's just what we talked about.
Rainbow.
Rainbow. Mm-hmm. There's a few signs in which both hands move but have different hand shapes. For example, show and help and surf. I'm not exactly sure how scientific surf, but I need to check on that.
Nope.
Okay, so I think that's, I mean, is that pretty clear? It says signs that use one hand. For these signs, you should use your dominant hand. For example, no numbers, you know, all the letters. Let's see. When you're doing a classifier, like a person or this, it's always your dominant hand. You always spell with your dominant hand. And then signs that use two hands, but one hand moves, you use your dominant hand as the hand that moves. Which this is weird because to me, it's like, which one's moving? This one or this one, really?
Yeah.
But one of them's moving and the other one's not. So I kind of think of this as
I left at the
help and yeah, just same with this
or like eating
like this is moving and it's pushing the other one. So to me, that seems a
What
little.
was this?
Show.
Okay.
It's also a directional sign. So I'm wondering if directional signs have like follow a different rules, but he used those as examples. He did say classifiers, using those, using your dominant hand for that. Yeah. Okay. I don't think we need to say too much more about that.
I choked myself.
Don't do that.
I was over here singing My Fair Lady. I laughed at myself.
Oh my.
Too hard.
Okay. Repeating pronouns. I think it was Janice was here last week, right? Was it you and Janice?
I think so, yeah.
You left and then just Janice and I. We were practicing some questions and going through like, and at the end of the question, we were adding you, like you. They're talking about double pronouns. So like, do you to, or are you something, right? So then you start with you. So I'm like, okay, I'm talking about you. And then at the end, it's like, do you? It's adding that extra because you don't say do.
Yeah.
So you would say you like, you know, this, you. So that would be like, that would translate to do you like such and such. So he was talking about, you know, why do you need to have this repeating pronoun? It's only with you. It's not with all pronouns. I noticed that most of his examples at the bottom, excuse me, if you scroll down to the practice sheets, like you like to eat green apples. But what type of candy do you like? You're not going to say candy, you like what time you really add, you wouldn't necessarily add that. But he's got, let's see, how many cups of water do you drink daily?
How many cups?
Water you drink.
So would you say you drink every day? You? Is that what he's saying?
He's saying, yeah, water.
Water. You drink
every day. Cups. How many you?
Ah.
I have a really
there. Maybe a little excessive in the sense that you could probably be like, water cups you drink, how many?
Drink water.
You, every day. I don't know. Just and a couple of times he'll say, he'll start the sentence with do you, and he'll add you at the end, but there's one where he did that where he didn't add it at the end. You like cookies and milk? But he didn't say you at the end.
Mm.
But most of the do you is implying, that extra you at the end. But
is it kind of a way of saying, like, I asked you a question, are you going to answer me? Or not, are you going to answer me? But like, okay, now answer me. Like bringing the question to you. Is that kind of what it is?
Kind of, but it's also like, so I'm asking you a question. So the beginning you is kind of like, I'm asking you a question. And the second you is like, do you? Yeah. So it kind of goes with the do because you don't say do or are. You don't say are you.
Oh, that's so hard for me to forget that part, to wrap it around.
It's complicated. And he even said, like, you don't, depending on who's talking, it's not like everybody, when they're super familiar with each other, they don't necessarily talk that formally. It's almost like formal and informal. And I don't know if you have been exposed to that with like Spanish or other languages, but
A little
they
bit.
sometimes have
Not a long time.
formal versus casual. And I think this is one of these things that he was trying to talk about. That's more of a formal grammar thing, to add that extra double pronoun. I've seen it, but it's not consistent. And it's not like if you don't do it, they're not going to understand what you're saying, I
Yeah.
think is what he's trying to imply.
Okay, I can't. So the last time I talked to my sister was like a couple of years ago, and she was definitely speaking ASL, and I was definitely signed exact English, but I don't remember her doing that. And like, because that's all we did was like ask each other questions. We were catching up after 5 years, but I don't remember her like repeating the end like that. So that's the formal version, right?
It is more formal, I think.
Okay.
And I think it also depends on a little bit of language exposure, culture,
Yeah.
a lot of things. Like, do they actually use and practice this when you teach a language versus with actual application of cultural language? I think there's a lot of discrepancies between the two. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like you need to learn all the ins and outs, but you're not necessarily going to see examples of everything you learn. Even when it's like you go and you learn English, college level English, and it's not like you're going to go out and see examples of that in people's
Yeah.
speech.
Did you see that dog?
Like,
over
unless they're extremely educated person,
Yeah.
right? You're going to hear slang, you're going to hear street talk, you're going to hear, all of these abbreviations. So the same thing happens when you learn ASL, and then you have this conversational cultural piece and this actual language. We got to learn the language structure and the grammar, and then you have to kind of learn how those two things go together. And you're going to find lots of discrepancies between the two. One doesn't necessarily verify the other. In other words, you don't always have exact proof. You're like, oh, I knew it. I just saw that last week when I learned that. And, but vocabulary and things that you learn about deaf culture and, those types of things, those should be pretty consistent. And you should be able to see those, those things, example of those things. Oh, they totally did that, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the more exposure you have to talking with deaf adults, especially, and going out in the community, deaf community, and getting involved and being involved in different levels of conversation and kids. But you will see it the more you study language, the more you will see similar things with ASL and language development, especially when you're in education and you're watching a child learn sign and learn a language. It doesn't matter what language it is, there are similar things that happen, similar patterns that happen in language development with children. So, and even one of the examples that the guy gave that Vickers was talking about, he was talking about this hearing person kept getting offended by the fact that deaf people didn't want to accommodate their lack of sign language knowledge and conversation, wanting to be included. Like, I'm here, I'm a hearing person, I know a little bit of sign, I'm making an effort to show up to your deaf function and try to interact with you. And a lot of deaf people were like, kind of, I'm just pretending you're not here, please go away, because they're like this, want to stop and slow down and adjust their conversation. They don't want to do that, right? And it seems petty, selfish, rude, whatever. But he did a great way of explaining with this analogy of like, you're in a race car and all of a sudden this other one's in this junker and you've been speeding, and now you're stuck behind the slow person. What are you going to do? You're going to move out of the way. You're going to pass them, whatever, right? You don't need to be offended and take that personally that person decided to pass you, right? It's just, that's just the way we look at it. That's just the way we are. So he was trying to help them see it from the other perspective, what would you do if you were the one that was speeding?
Yeah.
So it's one of those. It's one of those things. He said, well, so basically, he's like, go to a deaf function, observe, and see what happens, and continue to get education. But don't feel like just because hi, how are you? My name is, that you're just going to all of a sudden jump into these high level conversations, and they're going to everyone's just going to, oh my gosh, it's so wonderful that, you know, some deaf people are like that. They're really patient, really nice, and they see that you put an effort. They'll give you a little bit of attention, but they're not gonna, that's where it'll end, especially if your conversational skills end with, hi, how are you? My name is so-and-so, and that's, that was, I wouldn't want to say that to discourage you guys from trying to, you know, have a or to go to, you know, deaf functions and you have to start somewhere. Yeah. And the more you do it and the more you learn and the more comfortable you get, then you can, you know, jump into the fast lane at 70 miles an hour. Yeah. And even if you're just standing there going like this, you know, and they probably don't understand what they're saying, right?
Yes, no, a little bit, a lot.
Right. You're making an effort, right? Sorry, I didn't want to digress too much, but I thought that was a very interesting thing you brought up. So we've talked about topicalization. Do you guys remember that a little bit? Kind of.
I remember mentioning the word. I don't remember what it means.
It's how you show a difference in topic or how you focus on switches in topic. So in other words, it's like it's like verbal or visual punctuation. So if you're listening to a conversation and or listening to a discourse and somebody's talking, you can hear when they're pausing things, you can hear when they're emphasizing something, when something's important. You know, what would that look like on a piece of paper? You write that with exclamation marks and commas and semicolons and you know, dot, 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 and, you know, a question mark, right? So it's visual punctuation. How do you show, a person? Okay, now we're going to talk about this person, right? My head's tilted, my eyebrows are up, I'm pointing. That's called topicalization, and then you add a label to that, you know, or this is a thing, or this is a topic that we're going to be talking about now. Now we're talking about whatever. So and you, there's different ways to do that with your facial expression, with your body language, with shifting to, now we're going to focus on this over here, doing a pause, you know, facial expressions, stuff like that. Whenever you use a body shift, which is basically just shifting your position of your shoulders, what you're like, I'm going to face this. Okay, and now I'm going to face this. And you can do it when you're talking about two different things and you're comparing. You can also do it when you're having a conversation. So when you're representing a conversation that's happening between two people, you become both people. So you're this person, and even if it's like an adult talking to a child, the adult will be looking down and have maybe different body language, different facial expressions depending on what they're talking about, right? The child would be looking up. Maybe they would have different facial expressions because they're a child that would show more innocence and their language would be simpler. And so you need to represent that. Register, but we're not going to get into that right now. Okay. So you can have a full blown on conversation between two people and you can go back and forth and you've never moved and you're the same person, but you just go in and out of character between two people. And you can also set them up, you know, this person's here, this person's here. You can show what they did. They came and met each other. Like, oh, hi, John, how are you? Oh, great. I'm fine. How are you? You know, same person, same conversation, you know, very simple, right? It can get super complicated. If you involve more people, it becomes crazy. I haven't really seen
voices out of a book
do that too much, you know, because then you have to start, you know, I don't know. I'm curious. I want to see if somebody's, you know, like a one-man show, like they're like done like 4 conversation between 4 people, or you've and now this person is talking to this person, but usually you have to label people. This is Sarah. This is Jane, you know, whatever. And somehow they're able to keep track. What's really hard is when you're trying to remember who you set up where and you switch and you forget that the other person's talking and you're just listening and you have to know that other person is talking. Jane just said something. Oh, wait, was that Jane or John? Like sometimes it can get a little crazy. So that's what that's about, the shifting of bodies and then how you use that. Inflection, another thing. How would you show inflection? So what's an example of inflection in your voice?
Like a question.
Yeah, yep. When you ask a question, right? We don't make statements. So I'm going to go to the market. right? I'm going to go to the market. So what we do with our voice says something is a statement, something is a question. I'm upset, I'm angry, I'm not really sure. You know, so whatever we do with our voice also is supposed to match, you know, whatever's going on. Okay. Understanding the order of signs in ASL is more varied than just OSV. I'm not sure what he is trying to say there. I didn't get a chance to figure that one out. So for now, I'm just going to skip that.
What does OSV stand for?
I don't know. That's why I'm like, I don't know what it stands for.
Okay.
I'm like, I've never seen that before. I'm sure it's probably something really simple and obvious that I already know what it is, but it's just
yeah.
it like this, so I don't know.
Of signs is more varied. Maybe I don't know. I was gonna say the order in which they go in is more varied than regular signed exact English, maybe?
No, I don't know. I want to go and figure this one out though. Okay.
There you are.
So, and he didn't have a link so that I could just click on it. Hi, what's your cat's name?
This is Jake's.
Jinx. Lovely.
He's been
Okay,
walking around meowing at me.
let's go through this list of vocab and then we'll practice a couple of sentences together. Okay, and I have not used this sign for so long. I don't know. It's one of those things. It's a conjunction. You know, it's not really. It's not like to, of, for. You know, I mean, some of those words, but it's not like some of the articles, a, and, of, the, that I barely ever use ever. You know, and then the be verb, be, are. You know, was, were. Don't use those. You know, because it's how you said it with it.
Signed exact English, that's probably one of the more common signs to use.
Yeah.
You and me, she and him.
So be like,
Yeah.
both. Oh, like there's so many different ways that you can show this and this person and this person. So there's like 4 or 5 different ways you could sign that. So sometimes you end up not signing the actual sign and because it's implied in the, you know, this and this and this, both. Or I don't know. I wouldn't suggest that you don't use it or use it. It's just kind of one of those things of like, oh yeah, I don't even remember the last time I used that sign. Why? Why is that? So I was trying to come up with a good explanation for that. But anyway, apple. Candy.
Candy apple.
Candied apple. Now I've seen cereal and cereal, and I've seen a couple of signs for cereal.
Yeah.
But yeah.
On the ASL baby signs, they do this for the babies because I think it's easy for them.
And that's what he did too. Excuse me. Cereal. Cheese.
Never forgot that one.
Cup. No, sorry, cookie. Like a cookie cutter. Twist. Cup. Like you're holding the cup. Drink.
Yeah, stop.
Eat. Putting food in your mouth.
Food.
And food. Both.
We did like you're getting a fork or a spoon.
Mm-hmm. What, for eat?
Food. Yeah, eat food.
I always thought it should be different or some different variation, but
yeah,
sometimes they spell food. And I've seen this before for food, like even like an English sign, but I wouldn't. It's
is
too.
Is this one taste? Taste. That's right.
With the middle finger, yeah. Mm-hmm. And delicious.
Tastes good.
Full. Now, full as in you ate a lot. You were full, right? You're full all the way up, right? Full as in full or enough. Full.
When I was little, we used this one, but I feel like this was an insult, and we weren't allowed to use it. I feel like it was something like negative, like we were calling somebody fat or something, that we weren't allowed to use this sign.
Huh.
So we always did this one in full.
Yeah, he showed
know.
both things.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what, I don't know, maybe they're saying it's close to another sign that could be offensive.
I'll have to ask my mom and see what she says. It was probably like we were insulting each other with it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Age, so.
All right, hamburger. It's like you're forming the burger, the ground up beef into a hamburger. So. And then hot dog. I've also seen this, and I looked because I'm like, this is the one I learned, and I looked it up, and I was looking for people to sign it, which way they signed it, and I saw both in the same video with different deaf people. One person signed it this way, the other person signed it this way, and I'm like, ha! Well, at least the deaf person used that, so I know it's not a made up sign.
This would be more sausage, I think.
More common sausage, hot dog, and I always thought this is a hot dog because it's a hot dog in a bun.
Yeah.
And it's a hot dog. This is sausage. I'm like, that's why I don't even use them synonymously because I think that they're different. But
I feel like we just did hot dog. So hot dog. Yeah, we just knew like it's a hot dog.
Right.
That's what we want. Yes.
Well, if you see them doing that and they're talking about food, now you know it's hot dog or hot dog.
All right.
All right. Hungry. This also means desire or wish.
Does it matter up or down?
Usually up to down.
Okay, up to down.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I've been yawning all day and it's really.
Yeah, I had to go get myself a soda right before class.
It started in the morning and it like hasn't stopped like all day. Okay. Milk.
I know that one.
Squeezing the milk out of the
This is the
cow.
one we're trying to teach Ginger. No?
Yeah, nice. Pizza.
It's
So, couple of sites. I've seen the double Z's, right? Pizza, where you pull it up to like a squiggle up to an A. Pizza. I've also seen this, pizza.
Okay.
So, I've also seen this, like throwing up the dough.
oh,
So, yeah,
I like that.
depends on where you're from. It's regional signs. It really depends on where you're from.
We did this one.
This is more, really? Like
Yeah,
putting
with
the
a little
sauce on the pizza.
Yeah, pizza. Could have been pancake too, I think.
Yeah. My heater's finally coming on. Okay. Popcorn.
At the movies.
This for microwave. So, or even, maybe Pinky's. I don't think Pinky's, just this one. Microwave.
Yeah.
So
Popcorn.
make sure that the movement, is up. Microwave.
Interesting. Is there a sign for oven?
Like you're putting something into the oven.
Okay.
And I think this stuff dope.
Okay.
Like bake.
My hand is going in the oven.
Yeah, you're putting your hand in the oven. Pretend you're putting a pot or a cookie sheet in the oven, not your hand.
No, right.
All right, popcorn, soup. I'm gonna click on this because I forgot to get. Yep, just verifying. Sometimes I just assume that, especially when he's from California, and I'm like, I gotta make sure there isn't like a different sign, that I learned. And usually I'm right in the sense of, I knew that one, but that wasn't the one I used. But I better make sure I'm teaching the same one because when they go back,
I'm finding that a lot too with the really common stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like pizza, like I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't use that one. Sure, that works. Pizza.
At least he showed the variations. Like he's like, okay, here's 3 or 4 different ways to sign the same thing, and they are acceptable. So, water. And this is what kind. Like this is not kind like be kind to someone or be nice, right? This is kind like what kind is it? There's also style, like what style of dancing, style of clothes, what style of whatever.
And he taps it and then does the circle, right? It's not just a circle. He taps it and then taps again. I think you did the same thing without like thinking about it.
Just went around in a circle, pretty much.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was significant.
No, not really.
Okay.
All right.
Just
Let's see.
I got a little signing buddy here.
Pet me, pet me. Pay attention to me.
Feed me.
Feed me. All right, let's practice asking some questions. Let's do questions where we can actually answer, not like a yes or no question, but questions where you can also actually answer. So let's start, and I'm going to pick one of you, and then you pick the next person, and that person then goes back to me. So we'll kind of go in a circle. So you ask the same thing, and then we'll answer kind of back and forth. So I'll ask you the question like, did you get that question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to ask Ellie. And if you don't know it, you can spell it. Okay. Yep. All right. And then you're gonna,
Jessica.
yeah, you can ask Jessica, or you can turn around and ask me, and then you can pick a different question and then do that too. Whatever works.
I'll ask Jessica.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, the video cut
Sure.
switching back and forth like right when you said that. So
Oh,
How do I?
can you not see us both?
Well, I've got like 2 up in the corner, and then you're on the big screen. But right when you signed it, it switched, and I didn't see what you signed.
Okay. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you now.
Or
Okay.
this would be more squinty.
I don't know how to sign it. For Rebecca.
Oh, okay.
Hi.
Oh, it did it again. Okay.
It's because I think it's because you have it in speaker mode, and so she was talking and making noise, so it switched to her. So you might want to click off that little grid thing and click it, make it so it has a line through it, and it'll put all 3 of us in the same thing without.
Okay.
Try that. I don't know. Your iPad's different, so it might.
Yeah, it's my husband's iPad too. I have no idea. He's the one with all the fancy gadgets.
I don't know the iPad thing, so.
Okay, I'm pinning myself. Oh, yes. There we go. Maybe if I stay still. There. Now I can see you.
Okay. Okay, I'll start another question. And I'm going to say ask Ellie again, okay? Actually, I'll go in the opposite direction. I'll go to Jessica first. That way she can ask Ellie. Okay, ready?
And so. Oh.
That's for me.
Yeah. It's the easiest one.
That's good. Okay, so I'll ask Rebecca.
Did you guys get that?
Yeah.
Chocolate
Yeah,
Chocolate
let's see.
cookie.
cookie
With
with
or would you say without?
No.
Yeah. I was gonna
What's this?
question.
I don't know, I guess. I mean,
It's a color.
oh, I need to practice my color. Oh, is it
We didn't review that from last week. Maybe we should go back and review. White.
white? Okay, so chocolate cookie with white chips.
So I was gonna ask with or how did you do without?
Without.
Without.
Yeah. Without. Sorry, spell that again. I wasn't watching you. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
With or without macadamia nuts?
Oh, wow. Nuts.
I went. That's right, nuts, because they break your teeth.
Yeah. Cracking them open with your teeth. That's how I remember it. Okay.
The snickerdoodle is actually my favorite, but I didn't want to sign it out.
All of them are my favorite, so I just picked one to be different. But I don't eat chocolate anymore now, so.
Yeah.
What was the other thing I was going to show you guys? I don't want yes or no questions.
Yes. No.
And you don't get to practice the other sign. It's kind of pointless. And you don't have to actually think of a word that you want to sign. I mean, it's nice to practice saying the question, but then you want a question to practice saying plus the answer you have to also practice. So that's why I don't like asking yes or no questions at all. Oh, okay. Ellie.
Oh,
so Jessica.
Mm-hmm.
is it
Mm-hmm.
Italian wedding?
Italian. It's like the cross, like the Catholic cross.
Oh, okay.
This is also, I've also seen this for Italy, where they're showing the shape of the country too. That's the newer one. This is an older country sign.
Okay.
But yeah.
The Italian wedding.
Have you had that before, Ellie?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to find a really good one. Like it doesn't can well, so it has to be pretty much like fresh every time you eat it.
Have you tried like all the different kinds, like the canned brand?
One, two, not a lot.
I've eaten the Progresso brand before. It's okay. But I've never had homemade soup.
Yeah.
Never.
So, let's see here. When I lived in Georgia, no,
That would be
happened when I happened to live in
Georgia.
I worked at. You said, how did you do the second one? Italian
Or Italian.
restaurant.
Restaurant. Like you're wiping your face with a napkin.
Yeah.
It's an R.
An Italian restaurant, and they made it homemade every day. Every day. Yeah. It was good.
Yum. Okay. Where are we at? Do you have to ask me? Yeah, you have to. It's your turn.
Okay. What am I asking? Just same question. kind of soup. I haven't had
Okay. You said vegetable with meat.
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 What kind of meat? What kind of meat?
I have no idea. Oh, beef. Oh, beef.
And
And
It's kind of off the screen a little bit. There you go.
is that better?
yeah.
I'll do it again.
Oh, barley. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had that one.
It's good. I like it. I like a lot of soups, but
Yeah.
that's what I kind of always prefer over other types. Okay. All right. I'm going to let each of you pick a sentence, and you're just going to sign it. And then if somebody knows, and not me, because one of you is going to say what they just said. So they're going to say what they said. They're going to voice the question, figure out which question they ask, and then they're going to answer it and sign. So pick one that we haven't said yet. See if you can recognize what they signed.
Okay.
It's okay if it's a yes or no question on this one, because I want you to just practice some receptive skills and then signing what they said. Ellie, you go first. You pick a sentence.
Okay. I only have one screen, so I'm just flipping back and forth real quick. So I'm
That's fine.
gonna miss you if you sign. Okay, I might be forgetting one of these words, but I'm just gonna go for it and try it. Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, you signed it right.
I got your kind of apple milk.
Okay then.
That's what I saw.
Good body switch.
Yes.
And when you're
Red delicious. Is that what it? Red delicious? I think so.
red delicious, yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the second thing that she was signing? So she signed apple, and she moved just a little bit. What did she sign it after that? Do you recognize that sign? Do it again, Ellie.
Is it orange or milk?
Milk is out here. Orange is right here.
Okay. I can't quite tell. Okay.
Or right here.
Yeah.
Or even over here.
Oh, okay. Which is my favorite, apples or oranges?
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Okay.
that makes sense. Or what do you prefer? Because this means
Yeah.
prefer as well. It's not just favorite.
Okay.
It's your favorite, your preference, you prefer what?
So should I have done your again at the end?
Or you?
Or was that just you?
Everybody should. No, he's not doing your at the end. I think that's just for you, not possessive, the double pronoun.
Okay.
What again? So, or also when you're asking, like, we didn't talk about this, but when you ask between two things, you can say which. So that's the thing that deciphers, like.
Okay.
Maybe do which at the end.
Right? You can do which at the end. So whenever you're saying, which one is it? This one or this one? But yeah, that's one way that you could do it. But just doing the body shift, that was awesome that you remembered apples or oranges. You were trying to show, right? Body shift difference between the two. Okay.
Okay.
All right, your turn. Got a sentence?
So.
It's done.
Okay.
I'm not remembering what, so I could say.
Okay, you say, you don't.
Yeah.
What's that sign, right? So now what are you going to say in response? You can sign that to her. and tell her what that is.
I don't know the colors really.
We forgot we did the review. Go ahead and finger spell it and I'll show you it if you don't remember.
Is it- okay. Yeah.
Yellow.
If you're in California, it's like cool.
And actually, California comes from this.
Yeah.
Or jewelry and gold. That's the sign for gold, or even down to a G
Right.
like that, but yellow. So this is the sign for California because of the yellow. And then silver down to an S, but kind of weird. Anyway.
Yeah, and that's why I was trying to do Georgia, but getting mixed up with California.
Yeah, Georgia's this GA.
Yeah.
Okay, so colors really quick. Red, like pulling the red off your lips. Red.
Mhm.
Think of smearing your red lipstick. Orange,
Yeah, I remember that one.
yellow, green, blue, purple, pink. I forgot to show pink up here with red. The brown
Okay.
is over here on the cheek. Tan,
Mhm.
black. Think of smearing the black like they do with the football players. Black, white,
Almost done. Do you want to say hi?
rainbow, gray.
That's what. Yeah, that's one I didn't remember.
Mixing black and white together. Maybe that gets kind of an in-between color. I don't know. Maybe that's.
And then colors like you're eating the crayons.
Yep. Putting the crowns in your mouth.
Yeah.
I like remembering that way. All right. It is 5 o'clock. We're done. Good job, guys. So go back and review. The more lessons you learn, the more we're going to have to add, go back and practice, go back and review, go back and get those words and just go through the vocab and just see how many you can remember without referring to a video or clicking on it or doing anything else. And that'll help you kind of know, okay, I got those. Those are pretty solid. Okay, these are the ones I need to go back and practice. So yeah, practice those vocab words.
Okay.
Practice some more of the sentences that we did this week, and I think you'll be good to go. I won't see you guys next week, so you've got 2 weeks to practice. It's a good time to review. There's a quiz at the end of this lesson. There's a lesson 7 practice quiz. So take that quiz yourself, see if when he signs those things, you can recognize what he's signing. Write them down, and then he'll go and show you like what they actually are, and you'll see how many you actually got right out of that. And that'll give you a good idea. And because he'll bring everything that he's done so far out of all 7 lessons into those things, so he'll pull from all of those. So
nice.
Okay.
there's also more practice quizzes, so you can take some of the other practice quizzes to review as well.
Okay, cool.
Have a great
Thank you.
a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I've seen this for Thanksgiving too, like the gobble on the turkey.
Yeah.
It means thank you, Thanksgiving Day. And I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.